welcome back to Smashing Hits Podcast. This is our recap for All-Stars 3, the finale, which is episode 10 of the season. My name is Zach, and I'm joined by my best friend Jake. This is his last full recap.
It's not the last. How's everybody doing tonight? You got one more, but how is everybody doing tonight?
But it is the last official
recap.
Full recap,
yeah.
Unless you just kind of jump in randomly going forward. And my wife Hannah's here.
Hey.
Who tried to sabotage the pod from the get-go.
Exactly. We're recording, and she just jumps right in. By the way, if it sounds like myself or Hannah especially are very out
loopy,
of it, I am, honest to God, extremely tired. This is maybe the most tired I've ever been when we've recorded, and we used to record up until like 2 a.m. some nights.
Yeah.
And we
haven't slept in days, and then we've been in the heat.
We've been packing. We did yard sale last weekend. We did it again today. We get up at 6 something, being out there in the 112 degree heat in Tennessee with like 50% humidity, and the worst weekend maybe possible to do a yard sale. But we have to get this stuff out of here.
It's absolutely miserable out here in West Tennessee. But I gotta say, even in the midst of the exhaustion, you guys look as good as ever.
I don't feel it.
It's unbelievable.
I feel, because we did that all day. Then our nieces and nephews are in town. So after we finally got done, packed everything up about 3:30, we went over to swim with them, and that just makes you tired.
Yeah.
And then we just came back and we showered and watched the episode and went from there.
I found out after you and I ate lunch today. I was like, why do I feel like this? And I remembered there's like a graph that's going around because, you know, here in Tennessee, we are in dangerous hot weather right now. The heat index is literally life-threatening.
Like 112 today.
And I've realized we had a lot of the symptoms for heat exhaustion. And I don't think we realized it until afterwards.
Honestly, you know what it was for me, I think? Because it hit me really hard right when we got done swimming. On the way to go swimming, I'd only been drinking water all day. And I was like, you know what? I had this glass bottle of Coke in the fridge. And I was like, man, that sounds really good with how hot it is. So I drank it, and I think I hadn't had any caffeine, any sugar, or anything like that. I drank it, and then we get in the pool, and I think I just crashed. Because I don't drink much caffeine anyway. And it just bottomed me out, and I told Hannah, I was like, I'm gonna text Jake and say we can't record tonight. I was like, I talked him out of it. I physically don't know if I'm gonna be able to stay up, and I'm doing better, but it's one of those times right now where my eyes want to close, and they're just tired of being open.
You know, sometimes you got to do it. That's one of the beauties of me stepping away from the pod.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah. Well, but you
that's
know,
a good point you're making.
No,
I don't have to do it anymore.
No, but like it keeps you guys could have, recorded whenever, and not had to worry about me. So I guess you could say I'm doing y'all a favor.
Honestly,
yeah,
we had to jump in with this because the Challenge USA premiered like 2 days ago, and we're already going to be behind on that. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is get this in. We got to record the final Redemption House Patreon pod that we talked about previously.
That will also drop on the main.
It will go on the main feed
at some point
eventually. Yeah, but then Hannah and I got to get on this Challenge USA, and so we'll probably just have to watch 2 episodes and just combine the first 2 episodes of the Challenge USA for next week, because it does come out on Paramount Plus the next day. Because we don't currently have CBS because we canceled our cable because we're about to move.
That's right.
And the good news is, doing a yard sale the past 2 weekends, we've made right under $5,000, and we've sold a lot of our stuff.
Yeah.
But it is more money than I expected, which is great. So we still don't have a for sure move date.
House is going on the market next week.
House is going on the market, and it was supposed to be the 1st of July initially, but we kind of had some things pushed back, so it's gonna be about 2 weeks later than we expected. But.
Well, I helped you guys out tonight. Took some stuff off your hands.
You traded. You bought tickets for us to go see Thor, Love and Thunder together Sunday, and we owed you money.
In exchange.
I'd forgotten that, and I was like, hey, do you want any of this stuff? And we just bartered for That's like how they did it back in the olden days.
It works. I don't know why we got rid of that in today's America, but
You know.
But yesterday's
one
America.
of our friends who, played drums in your band back in the day, that's kind of what he does for a living. He just barters, buys and sells, at
Yes.
flea markets.
he making all right living, you think?
He's doing pretty good.
The only reason I would, if it was just him, I would say, I don't know. And it's 50-50. But his brother does the exact same thing and is one of the smartest analytical people I've ever met, and made like a 32 on his ACT and just quit his corporate job to just do this full time.
That's crazy.
And he would not have done that if he told me.
I mean, he has a statistics degree.
Yeah, a statistics degree. He was doing accounting for a major food company, national food company. And he's like, I can make more money buying and selling at the flea market.
That's crazy.
I was like, go for
It's
it, man.
insane.
Huh.
So that I do think that they made good enough to do that, just because he would have calculated all of his risks otherwise. Yeah. So good on you guys going out there and picking, doing your thing.
Well, I got a question for Han.
Okay.
Huh.
He's a 10, but he wears Crocs.
You can't do that. 14.
He's a negative 10.
So pretty good.
I think you're shortchanging him, Han.
I agree. I
What
got
do we
Crocs
got?
on right now.
He's,
Yeah, I was
I
about to
know,
say, we
he's
got the
wearing
mint
Crocs
green.
right now.
Yeah, like
Mint green.
Green ones on. I packed the furry ones already. It's too hot. Summer. I'm not
Right.
wearing those anyway.
I tried to
And
throw
they'll
him
be
away
perfect
when he
for
was
Utah.
looking.
Perfect for Utah. I'll be running out in that snow all day long.
Yeah, it'd be like Kate Bush,
I'll run up that hill. The placebo version of that's better.
which is that song has taken off. You guys don't watch Stranger Things.
No, I know why.
No,
I know
but-
that
why.
song
we
has
know.
taken off.
Here's the thing.
And the way that I gotta tell you, I haven't seen.
I know the scene. I've seen the scene.
I don't know, but they still use it gradually
Yeah.
throughout the season. But like, I can't think of a song that has been better used in a TV series, movie than that song. For when they start playing, because they'll do like an orchestrated version too,
Yeah.
right, of that progression. And it's like every time it hits, it just
You
grabs
know
you.
something? She owns 100% of the rights to that song.
Buddy, she is.
She's making like $130,000 a week now off royalties.
Good for
Like,
her.
for a song that from 1985.
yeah.
And
I mean, it was a hit in the 80s.
it was, but it wasn't huge.
No, not what it
Yeah.
is now, but it was a little bop in the 80s.
The first time I ever heard it, there's a band called Placebo who covered it, and I didn't know
Yeah.
at the time it was a
I
cover.
like that cover
The
too.
Placebo cover's better than the original. To
I
me.
like that
and
cover.
I think it's because the original is a well-written song. It's like when people cover Tears for Fears. It's usually good because they're well-written. But the Placebo, it's got this like droning background.
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you where I first heard that song, because when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh
The
God!"
Placebo one.
Yeah,
I
it
used to have,
was. Hold on, keep on talking.
I used to have a playlist that I made in college that was just like really sad, emotional songs, and that was like the second song on the playlist. It was because it just puts you in this like funk, man.
Why did you have
provokes-
that?
Because
It's not like you.
But there's very few songs that can like really provoke that type of emotion with me.
Provoke or evoke?
Evoke probably, but I'm very tired. But that song, like the way that the production on that Placebo version, and they've got that, and
it's just
kind of
like
this
singular
drony
little-
thing in the background, like
And they slowed
It's
the
like it
tempo down
physically
too.
pulls it out of
They
you.
did. They kind of like did some more like extended breaks between like the chorus and the bridges.
It's
the
eerie.
verses. It's a great song.
So
though.
I heard it. They used it as the song for the promo of the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels
That's what it
rematch
was.
for
Is it?
WrestleMania
Of
26.
course.
It is sick.
What a weird
It
marriage.
is sick.
Placebo and the I guess WWE at that point.
It is sick. That was I think that was Shawn Michaels. That was his retirement match.
If you only know the Stranger Things version from Kate Bush, the original, check out Placebo, their version of it, because I honestly think it's a better version, even though the original's good. And I do know, again, this isn't a Stranger Things pod. I haven't even watched Stranger Things, but I do know like one character like plays like Metallica in the new thing. Well, they said someone did the math on it. They're like, this album came out this time in 1986 or whatever. They're like, he roughly had a week and a half to learn and perfect that with no tabs, nothing, just like sitting around doing it. Which, by the way, is the absolute best way to learn how to play the guitar. Trial by fire. Just listen to CDs.
That's how I learned.
That's how I learned.
I didn't use tabs. Even now I play stuff by ear.
Yeah, you put on a CD or Spotify, whatever you like, and you just get a guitar and you try to figure out kind of just like the notes for the chorus, and then you build stuff up from there.
Yep.
And that Sum 41, Newfound Glory, all this type. That's how I learned how to play the guitar.
I don't think you'll ever watch it, Han, but I'm telling you,
I'll watch it at some point.
it is. That show is, and it gets progressively. And you can say it's about a lot of shows, but it gets progressive. The stakes are so. Most shows like this, right, especially on Netflix, are like 45 minutes to an hour each episode.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 episodes they just dropped.
Long. They're long.
The second to last one's like an hour and 40 minutes, and the last one's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's a movie.
It's
And me and my brother stayed up till like 2 a.m. last night watching it. Yeah, and
Is it over for this season?
Yeah. We'd get to like a certain point in the finale where it's like, oh, it's probably ending, and I'd hit pause, and it's like, oh, it still has an hour and a half left.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's long. I still haven't watched The Last Dance just because it's so long.
Oh, that's great too.
I know. I'm going to watch it. If anyone's interested, I have been watching Taskmaster, which is a British show where they bring comedians on and have them do weird tasks, see who can do them in the fastest time. And
like eat watermelon.
It's there's like, hey, you gotta walk in this room, whoever can eat the most watermelon in a minute. Or like they give you like a potato and they're like, hey, you can't touch the thing, whoever can get the potato in the hole, like the golf hole, fastest wins. And it's just funny to watch how kind of their minds work to like figure out ways to do it. It's all on YouTube, so that's what I've been doing.
It's pretty entertaining, and depending on who it is, it can be really funny.
Yeah, some of them are really funny. Other ones you're just kind of like, oh, that's neat. But it's a good time. Patreon.com/SmashingHits podcast. That's where the Redemption House will be recording goes. Again, very tired. Honestly, when we started watching tonight's episode, which is episode 10 of All Stars 3, I had forgotten that they'd already started the final. We started
Really?
it, and I was like, oh yeah, we're in the middle of the final.
Yeah.
I remembered that much.
So we start off again with Nehemiah and Kayla are together, Brad and John A are together, Mark and Kellyanne are together, and Wes and I are together. They're basically, they gave us a teaser of kayaks, and TJ's like, yo, a lot of people have basically lived and died in the finals by kayaks.
So this is tandem kayaks, which have we seen? Yes, we have.
Multiple times.
Because we saw Derek and Hisela.
But even like there was one where they were in the cold and it was like not Nani, but Nani and like Zach were
Leroy was in that final.
Okay.
That was
was it Rivals
2 final.
Okay.
No.
It was one of the
It wasn't Rivals 2 final.
Was it X's?
Rivals 2 final was where they ran around the island with Wes. It was one of those that CT it was whatever season it was. We watched. It may have been Battle of X's 2.
Okay.
That's probably what it was. One of those we watched not that far ago. Listen, I'm very tired.
Not that far ago. We talk about kayaking all the time. It's not hard. I love to kayak. I've never tandem kayaked. Not sure.
It is a different experience doing dual, like, because we've done tandem canoeing.
Yeah.
And that is tougher.
I did buy my fiance a tandem kayak for her birthday.
You
For her and
did.
some
You
other
told us
guy?
about it.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I got another seat back
just
here.
for her and my dog.
Oh, okay.
Though I gotta say,
Your dog would be too scared to get in that boat.
He would.
Oh, he better get used to it. I want to take him out on the water. It's a dream of mine.
Buster's scared of water because when he was like a 5 or 6 month old puppy, Hannah took him to my parents' house and was letting him run around the pool, and he just walked right into the pool.
Yeah,
and freaked out.
So I took him back there to run in the yard because it's a fenced yard, and I was like, oh, he'll get his energy out, and I was literally I was sitting on the patio furniture. I was on the phone with Zach. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm over at your parents' house. I'm letting Buster kind of run around. And then I guess he heard Zach talking because I had him on speaker. And he just, like, cut across the yard, like heading straight for me, and just walked straight into the deep
it's like
end.
one of those videos where like they have like a wide interception, someone doesn't realize there's a pool there, and they just walk right off.
That's
into
exactly what happened. And I was alone. There was nobody there.
Can't swim.
Can't swim. He walked into the far end of the deep end, and then tried to swim to me, but he just swam across the deep end. So he was on the other side of the deep end.
He just panicked.
And I was like, Buster, I can't get to you. And he couldn't get out, and he started freaking
to this
out.
day, like I've tried to get him in the pool other times over the years.
He's terrified.
And
That ruined it
I'll
for him.
lower him in, and he freaks out. Like he does not. So when we're over there and he's running around, he doesn't even like to get on the concrete because he knows
stays
that's
on the
close
grass.
to the water.
Yeah.
He hates it.
Yeah.
Well, my parents have a boat, and they have 2 dogs, and they both love being out on the water. And we went 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was the first time. I don't know if he did it because he saw the other dogs doing it, but he swam out to me. Like he actually got in the water and like swam out, and it was such a cool dad moment for me. And so,
You're not a dad.
I was proud of him. So I think he'll be fine. I do think Wes made a mistake because they finished really far behind everybody. You kind of control like the speed and momentum if you're in the back, right?
Yes. If you're doing a tandem
I'm trying to
kayak,
think. It's been a while.
Because I know when I kayak, I make sure I'm in the back.
yeah,
Or I'm
it's
canoeing,
the
I'm
same
make sure I'm in the
thing
back.
with canoeing and kayaking are the same in that whoever is in the back, a lot like in water rafting too, whoever's in the back has more control.
And, but the one in the front can like stick their paddle down in one side to help you turn one way or the other, and then the back is a lot of the power.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if the person in the front can help turn because Nia didn't do anything but hold her paddle in the air.
She was paddling, but I mean,
Not
again,
really.
Like, you're matched up with all these different people. I think Wes handled it fine because like there's no point in getting upset because you clearly you're in last place. You might as well kind of pull a Kellie in. You're not timed. Take your time. You know you're already going to get only 1 point. Just get to shore.
Conserve some energy.
Don't wear yourself out. And then they...
I want to know,
Okay.
why did Brad keep laying down
I don't
to
know.
paddle?
That's a new technique for me.
I've never seen that. I
Well,
didn't
Johnny
understand.
didn't know why he was laying down.
It almost seems like it would make you exert more energy trying to paddle laying down.
Maybe he's got back problems.
It could be.
Because I would do that if my back was like... Because canoeing is rough on your back.
Whitewater rafting, and these were not high-level like these were very mild rapids, if you want to even call them that, in Utah. Being hunched over on the side and back of that thing for 3 hours or so made me have to go to a chiropractor and get basically kind of like physical therapy for my back for like 9 months. It messed me up for that long.
Yeah.
And so like I'm nervous about that. Like I would have to have something that has a backrest, like to be able to prop yourself up.
I'll never
Like
judge
the
a
ones
guy.
you sit in.
I'll never judge a guy trying to protect his back.
It's rough, man. You know as much as anybody. When it locks up, there's nothing you can do about it.
Can't.
So we get to the next thing, which is the versus point, and it's like
King of the
King
Hill.
of the Hill, which fittingly, Gauntlet 2 we just watched. TJ's first ever
Game,
yeah,
he said?
it wasn't an elimination, but yeah, first ever like
Daily.
yeah, it was something because it wasn't a daily, but it was to determine the captains, I guess.
But
Gauntlet
it was
2.
the first thing he had ever done.
Yes, yeah.
That
Just
was
kinda-
when he had been introduced as a potential new host.
Well, he was the host.
Well, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like this was his trial run with
yeah, this
it.
was probably first time filming was doing that.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, every single one of these went whoever was the biggest mass-wise one.
Wes said that Nia made Kellyanne look like a little child.
I mean, all of them that lost really bad, except for maybe Kayla. Kayla and John A were the most evenly matched, and then but I mean, John A still is a little thicker than her. She pushed her off.
I'd like to say, one, I was excited about the John A and Kayla matchup because it was an actual matchup, and you know, you would guess that Kayla's probably going to win, but I was rooting for John A, and John A ends up winning, and TJ called out specifically John A's mom strength.
He did.
And
He
then
said
Kayla
that's
said
the
something
mom
about it
strength right
in her confessional. She's like, well, maybe mom strength is
We've
real.
been talking about that for decades.
Years.
Yeah.
Do people on the challenge and production listen to our podcast? How else would they know mom strength?
I mean, it's. I learned about it not learned about it, but the main thing that sticks out to me, there was an old movie called Rocket Man in the 90s, and it was this guy. It was if anyone hasn't seen, it was the actor. He was the cop on Dumb and Dumber that drank the pee out of the bottle. That guy. He was also in Half Baked, but he went on to be in a movie called Rocket Man. And what happened was like a Mars rover, or moon landing rover, flipped over on somebody, and he told the guy, "You have to call me mom so I can get the extra adrenaline to lift it up off of you." And that's what happened. That was the climax part of the movie.
I first learned of that statement watching the Incredible Hulk show with Lou Ferrigno.
From the 70s?
Really?
Yeah,
I never watched the show.
because it was before he actually became the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing these test studies, and lady wrecked her car. Her kid was in the car. It was on fire. And she lifted the car up.
What's funny about that show, which I've never seen, is that they had one actor play one thing, and then Lou Ferrigno was just the Hulk. He didn't play the normal guy.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have all the special effects and all that. So, yeah, again, everyone who was bigger. I did like how this final kind of balanced out. It wasn't all endurance. It wasn't because, early on, with the bikes and stuff like that, Mark is at a severe disadvantage. But then when it came to, this, or when it came to the running with all the weight, Mark's a big tank. He can carry stuff like that. So that stuff did balance out. I've got some gripes about certain parts of this final.
I do, too. It was fine.
It wasn't great, though.
It wasn't great.
I was disappointed in this final.
Yeah, we'll get to some of that. So Mark beat Nehemiah, Brad beat Wes, Nia beat Kellyanne, and John A beat Kayla. And so Brad and John A, Mark and Nia, Nehemiah and Kellyanne, and Wes and Kayla are the new pairs. And the next leg is they have to run with 100 pounds of sandbags. Pretty typical thing we've seen many times before, going even back to Fresh Meat 1 with Wes and Casey, and they had to carry bags all the time. That's not anything new with the challenge. Maybe even predated that. But Nehemiah and Kellyanne decided that they were going to do 2 trips, not even knowing how far they were going to run. And that definitely
was their first
came
mistake.
back to bite them real hard. Because everyone else just powered through it and carried them in one trip. And we don't know how far they ran, but it didn't work out for them.
Yeah, they seemed really upset once they realized, they had to. They turned around after dropping off their first haul, and they passed some of the other challengers, and they happened to ask, they're "Oh, did you guys get all of it?" And everybody said, "Yeah, we got all of it." And then they're like, "Oh, no.
Really bad call."
Yeah.
I think at that point, if you see everybody else is going ahead and grabbing all their bags, you have to.
But I think they took off first.
Yeah, they went first.
They took off ahead of everybody, and we're just going to be fast. And then everyone else is kind of loaded up, and so they're thinking, "Oh, we're way ahead. They're way behind. Well, let's not look back."
But if you're having to come back, yeah, I don't know.
If it was only 300 yards or something 500 yards, yeah, you could probably do 2 trips. And
I think they were banking on everyone else taking multiple trips too.
Yes,
but that's not the case. Also, back to the mom strength. John A and Brad are partnered for this one, and Brad keeps having to take breaks, and John A's getting upset, and they end up switching their loads, where she carries his 60 pounds, and then he takes the remaining 40.
Look, I was going to wait until later in the episode. John A's had one of the most unbelievable turnarounds on the challenge
the most unbelievable.
It's still, even though she won last season, she was really good in season 1, just her performance in this final is insane.
She wanted to prove that she could do this by herself, and she did.
I always had to be reminded that I know there was just the one winner on season 1, but she was first out of the women, wasn't she?
She tied, I think.
She
with
tied?
Kelly.
Well, regardless,
yeah,
she was
there,
the top female all 3 seasons,
and she was not in as good a shape then as she is now. And it's because she was never very good at the challenge. We've talked about it many times. It's been documented. And even Wes said at some point, like, it's crazy how different of a player she is.
Mm-hmm.
And just in all facets. And, I mean, if you would have told us going into All-Stars 1 that Jonna was going to come back after having a couple kids and be the dominant female force on the show, we all would have thought you were crazy. Because it's not even close. She's far and away the best.
She's made all 3 finals, and she's got 2 championship belts on her hip.
She's made $500,000 in the last, 6 months.
It's crazy. I love it. I love it.
That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, great for her.
I mean, it was wild just seeing this scene here where she asked Brad, she's like, "Do you want to switch? Do you want me to take your weight?" And he does it, and then they keep going, and she's like, "This is not a big deal. I had big babies and they're heavy," and she's like, "I'm used to this."
To be fair, they did still come in third. Mark and Nia, the 2 biggest people, came in first.
Yeah.
And then Wes and Kayla second, Jonna and Brad third, and then Nehemiah and Kellie in last because they did the double thing. And then that's when we find out, there's an overnight portion. And then TJ is like, it's not going to be that bad.
See, this is where...
That's where this final fell apart.
Yeah,
this is
too reminiscent of, was it Final Reckoning, Vendettas?
I
think it was Final Reckoning.
Our first season.
Because Cara, Maria, and Marie were partnered, and they had a pizza wine party.
Yeah, after just kind of standing on stuff most of the day. And yeah, this is where the final, to me, is its weakest point. Because we get to a yacht, they have $500,000 on it. They're like, "Hey, you're going to sleep on the yacht." And Wes's thing, he's like, "I don't want to do this. Like, I want people to be tired. I want to outlast them. I've been training for this."
Exactly.
And
so do all of the viewers.
Yeah, I did like that they used Peter, Bjorn, and John. That whistling song, Young Folks, because I do love them. But I didn't like that they were recreating the Titanic scene, and then we had long, multiple drawn-out conversations about bonding. And
that's supposed to happen the night before the final, and then you get into the headspace of, I have to cut your throat to get to the money. You're not supposed to do it in the middle of the final.
Yeah, this was the biggest misstep to the final. I did think the seasickness added a very interesting layer because not everyone was affected by it. Hannah and I were actually talking about this the other day with my sister.
Yesterday, actually.
I've gone snorkeling and stuff a handful of times, in the ocean. You go way out, you do whatever. You're on boats, no problem. We did it in Hawaii one time, and they took us through some passage that was super choppy. Every single one of us got sick.
Everyone on the boat
Everyone
got
on
sick.
The boat, 60
vomiting everywhere. They ran out of trash cans. People were circling around trash cans to vomit into them together.
My nephew, it was his birthday, and his little sister threw up on his head.
Oh my God.
And he handled it very well for a 6-year-old.
she was 2 or 3, didn't say a word. She just was real quiet.
She was standing up in the seat, and he was sitting down, and she threw up right on his head.
Yeah, because she couldn't tell us that she didn't feel well or that she felt like she was going to throw up because she was a baby.
I've never been seasick before. I was sick for about 48 hours.
I was sick for 3 days.
It was awful. And I've not wanted to get on a boat or go do snorkeling or anything like that again because of how bad that experience was.
That was my first time snorkeling.
Yeah.
And that's my only... I have somewhat PTSD when it comes to...
it was bad.
And so I told them yesterday, I said, I'll probably never snorkel again, ever.
I got to pet a sea turtle because it swam right beside me. You're not supposed to touch them, but it was right beside me, and I just touched it.
This is going on the internet.
At you?
No. They're very...
Not a snapping turtle, a sea turtle.
Well,
No. It just swam right by me. I just put my hand on the shell, and it walked off. Or it swam off.
The FBI can track you down because you've admitted to it now.
It's all hearsay.
We're going to go snorkeling on our honeymoon.
Yeah, I wouldn't let it persuade you to not do it because I've done it probably half a dozen other times, never had any issues. It's just this boat took this insane passage through really choppy water, and they knew it because they're like, "Hey guys, it's sometimes bad through here, and people don't take it well." And every one of us were super sick.
I mean, there were probably 150 people on that boat.
I don't know if it's that many. I said 60 earlier, but
it's way more than 60.
Maybe it's right in the middle.
So somewhere
100.
between that amount of people, every single person on the boat.
So it wasn't like a little boat.
It was every single person on that boat.
I know Wes and Kayla both for sure were sick. I'm sure some other people were.
Nehemiah was not sick.
Yeah, he had a great time. You shouldn't have a great time during a final.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You shouldn't get to relax. There shouldn't be any point you get to
You shouldn't
relax
be
and take it
resting.
easy.
No.
It's a final.
The only way you should be able to rest is if you've earned, because of how well you performed, an upgraded version of a not good night of sleep.
A heated blanket.
Exactly. Or
A tent.
Exactly.
An extra sleeping bag.
Yeah. We've
Pillows.
Seen that before. I don't mind that. That is putting everyone on edge to where they know they have to perform well to have better amenities. This was just like, oh, you all just get sleep in big beds. And then the next day, TJ's kind of going over the placing, like the place standings. Jonna's in first.
She has the most points out of anybody there.
And she had a 5-point head start. To Naya's credit, she was second and only by 1 point. So if you take that 5-star start away, Naya's winning this thing at this point.
Yeah.
By a pretty significant amount. And same with Nehemiah's in second behind Wes, but TJ's like, if you don't have those 5 extra points, like you would have been the worst one here. Mm-hmm. He would have been in 4th place. So we find out that the top 4 have already secured their spots, which is Wes and Nehemiah and Jonna and Naya. And the other 4 have to do a one-off elimination to remain in the game, which I don't mind. That's fine. I thought this was a pretty fair elimination. It wasn't anything physical, but I did think it basically let anyone win. It wasn't weighted one way or the other. It's just whoever could get something done the fastest. It wasn't like, oh, Mark's bigger, he's going to knock somebody around.
Well, what was interesting to see was with this crossword puzzle, Kellyanne apparently studied the map a bit. Kayla didn't even look at it. Had no idea. And John A. and Nia are on the sidelines saying, oh, well,
Karma.
You've heard about karma. Well, now it's here. And Nia goes out of her way to call Kayla a cheater again.
She didn't cheat.
I don't think she cheated.
If they didn't explicitly say you can't do it, and then they didn't come down on her afterwards saying, like, hey, you broke the rules.
It's not cheating.
It's not cheating.
Because we've had people get disqualified in elimination and stuff.
For cheating.
Like Zach and Trey in, like, Rivals 2, I believe. Zach was supposed to let him punch through, like, one level, and he did it first. And, like, that was clearly against the rules. Like, we've had that happen before. If they don't tell you can't do it, it's not cheating. It's just using strategy. And so, I mean, shout out to Kayla, because she was lost, and she just figured it all out.
She just started guessing.
Yeah, which is what you got to do.
So much for karma.
Yeah, exactly. I did like that there's a horn going off outside. Sounds like...
So there's a parking lot on so at the end of our street is a clinic, and there's a big parking lot out there. Earlier today, there were a bunch of food trucks and stuff out there, and this afternoon, one of the food trucks caught on fire.
No.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was a barbecue food truck.
I don't want to say the name, but I also honestly don't remember it. But yeah, like we saw a bunch of fire engines like racing by us, and then we left to go to my parents' house like 15 minutes later, and all of them were surrounding that one specific food truck,
like dousing it down.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I hope they didn't burn it. I hope it was like something quick and contained and didn't like destroy everything in there.
Man, bless up.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't the people that sell the donuts at the farmer's market.
They were there.
They were one of the other.
They were like 2 trucks away.
No.
Oh, y'all got to do that before y'all move.
She's probably allergic to it.
Probably.
You think so?
I think they do some peanut butter ones.
We know the owners, so I mean,
oh god, man, donuts.
Worst case scenario, I could message him.
Worst case scenario, you could die.
Okay.
Worst case scenario.
Well, best case scenario, I message him and see if he can make any that are not cross contaminated.
Man.
They had to name the countries in the crossword puzzle where 10 finals have happened, and you have to get them right, obviously. And Brad starts writing California.
Have you ever been to the country of California?
He's not totally off base, because if California was its own country, I think it would have like I think it's like top 10 in like economy in the world.
Really?
Yeah, because how much money Hollywood and stuff like that
Yeah, I
makes.
guess.
Like if it was its own country, it would be like a top 10 nation or something like that.
So if you haven't been to the country of California, have you ever been to Brazil?
Maybe he's just spelling it the way that it's pronounced in the native land.
Yeah. I get it.
It does have a Z, not an S in it, though.
It's true.
Was Kayla or Kellyanne one? It was Kellyanne. When she wrote USA, she put a sideways C.
CUA. CSA.
Turned 90 degrees.
Okay.
She fixed it later. Also, someone spelled Thailand Tyland.
I think it was Brad.
I thought it was Mark.
It was Brad or
It was one of the two guys.
It was one of neither one of them could
It was one
spell
of the guys.
anything.
On Good Mythical Morning, like the show with Rhett and Link, they talked to Link's dad, who is super Southern, lives in Myrtle Beach, and just sounds like every guy we ever, like older people we grew up with. And every day talk to him, he always says Thailand instead of Thailand.
There's people in Savannah that pronounce it like that.
Yeah. Kayla won though. She didn't. She said,
By guessing.
Quote, I don't even know what countries are. So that's good for her. She lives in a different country than she used to live in.
She does.
Yeah.
Do you think that helped her at all?
I don't think UK was one of the options, so maybe no. I mean, she'd win.
But she'd be closer to some of the other countries that they've done it in.
We've seen that happen before with, was it Zahida
and Zach?
Zach, I was going to say, or is it Zahida and Bananas?
It was Zahida and Zach, because they were partners.
She just like, I happened to be born in this country where this is, and also my family's from here, and so she knew like two answers that no one else really knew, like where they were. Shout out to Zahida. Never seen her again.
Do you guys ever, when you get stressed out or you feel like you're losing your mind, do you ever just hold your brain and then the answer comes to you?
I don't think I get stressed out to that level.
Like, Wes and Nehemiah were making fun of Brad. They're like, oh, he's got to hold his brain and make it work. It actually worked.
I mean, he ended up winning, yeah. But he was very stressed. I don't know. I don't know how off Mark was from like being checked. I don't know how close it was, because I want to say like at one point after Brad wins, they're like hugging each other, and it looked like there was a board that was filled, but that's got to have been Brad's, right? It couldn't have been Mark, and he was just later.
Probably. I don't know. I mean, my note at the end of this little round was I wish that they had to sleep in the sand or something instead of sleeping on the yacht.
In the sand?
In the sand instead of in the yacht. Because you said something we were watching that you're like, oh man, if they hadn't slept on that yacht and they had to sleep in the traditional final conditions, Kellyanne would have already lost her mind.
Well,
like
I don't think I said Kellyanne specifically, but she's just frustrated with puzzles and like being able to like sleep in a big bed and then have this really stressful puzzle that because when Kellyanne left, it was just she was just like, oh, you know, it happens, and Mark is kind of the same way. And it's like, if they've been running on no sleep and a full final the day before, that makes you in more of like a manic state to where you're really on edge about having to win. And so your emotions are running a lot hotter and a lot crazier.
It's better for TV.
I agree.
I gotta tell you, those interactions right there are what I'm gonna miss.
Which one?
Zach asks a legitimate question, to which Han says, I don't know, but this.
She said probably, I don't know.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
what do you do
after 5th and 6th place kind of solidify their standings? We find out that it's basically just a race. There's no partners and no pairs, and it's just the first one to the yacht. Which this is very similar to the Rivals 2 finale. Like, you just got to finish this race and just hit these checkpoints, but it's a singular one instead of a paired. And we did find out a bit of news on this little run up into the eating checkpoint that I don't think has ever been said on air before.
I caught it. Wes said that he and his wife want to start a family, and that's part of why he wants the money. And I looked at Zach and I said, is that the first time we've heard him say that?
I think it is.
It's the first time I've heard him say it.
I've not heard him mention that before. I mean, he hasn't been on Total Madness, I guess was the last season he was on. So that was, a year and a half probably ago when they were filming that, maybe even more. Some things may have changed at that point. So good for Wes. I mean, he ends up winning, so good for him.
Good for his future baby.
So we get to the eating portion, which great equalizer.
Yep.
This food challenge helped make up kind of for sleeping on the yacht the night before.
I think if you don't do a food challenge at some point in a season, you're missing out.
Yes.
But especially in a final, because I don't know about you two, but I would not win or I might come in last every leg if I was doing some of these other things. But the food challenge would be kind of my kryptonite, I think. I think that would be the hardest one for me to do. I mean, I've never been in the position where it's like, you just got to do it. Maybe I could power through it, but I think that this would be the toughest thing for me. I don't think I'd be Fessy. I don't think I'd be that bad. But I think I might be like...
You don't think you'd sit out and then blame your partner?
I think I might be like Brad and Kayla, like where it's real bad.
I was amazed at the amount of people in this final that had never had a food challenge before.
It is kind of crazy that Wes may have been the only one that has had to do something this intense before.
It may be irrational confidence. I think I'd do all right with the food stuff. I have recently I've eaten barbecued squid.
That's not that weird. I've had that.
And chicken livers.
I've had that too. I don't enjoy it, but
I like it.
Chicken livers
it's not as bad. It's not as
that's
bad
like
as
a
what people,
southern
it sounds
delicacy.
Like. My mom loves those.
Yes,
I like chicken livers.
My dad loves chicken livers.
I've also swallowed worms before.
Okay, that's different.
So
you just dig them out of your yard?
It was some. No, it was some. It was some
Came
youth
out of
event we
tackle
were
box.
at.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I remember they were like, "Oh, you do it, you get like $5."
I swallowed a worm.
That ain't worth it.
It is crazy that as a teenager, like you're like, "Wow, what a deal! One worm gets me $5. That's great."
If I
Two
swallow
worms,
5
10?
worms.
Yeah. As an adult, you'd be like, "I'll give you $5 to not ask me that again."
No, it depends on what it is.
You couldn't do it with the bugs.
I could not do the bugs or the worms, but if it's like the bull testicles and like, I could do stuff like that. But
They were doing brains.
I
today.
could not eat the worms and the bugs.
Was it Battle of the Bloodlines? They did a daily to where you had to like crush up, like kill live bugs with your mouth and then spit it into
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And wasn't that also like you had your just head in a encasement of them? Yeah.
Ew.
that I could not do.
Yeah, that one was rough.
And I'm thinking back to like even obviously Fear Factor did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking weird, wild looking bugs.
Fear Factor probably originated a lot of the ideas for some of these things we've seen with the eating challenges.
I could not do that. I could not do the living bugs.
I think I could do. Well, it depends. It depends on what they are. Those big like spiders and stuff, I don't think I could do. Crickets and stuff, I probably could do.
Crickets are probably the only bugs that I could do because like in the Philippines, certain areas of the Philippines, you eat a lot of crickets.
In a lot of Asian countries, they'll fry up crickets on the street and be like street food. But yeah, it's the brains and stuff, which they had like grub worms and stuff on there. But you're trying to eat weight. You want to eat the most like dense thing possible.
So pick those out.
Yeah, don't even worry about the bugs and insects that are not going to weigh very much. But I mean, Wes just powered through it.
I mean, Brad said he's never had to do a food challenge in his challenge career.
Yeah.
Neither has Kayla. Nehemiah hasn't eaten meat in 15 years.
Yeah, this is not a great return to it.
Yeah, I don't remember if John A. said that she's never done a food challenge, but I do know that Brad and Kayla both said that they've skirted by it.
No, there was a food challenge in the final of last season. To some extent.
Okay.
I remember them drinking
So
gross stuff.
John A. has done it.
Yeah.
Maybe Nehemiah hasn't. Naya probably hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think the 4 that didn't do well had done one of these before. And I mean it's a tough, it's more of a mental than anything. They did pull out a new stunt. I don't know if you remember. They put a GoPro in the bottom of Wes's throw up basket or garbage can or whatever. And so he threw up onto a GoPro at one point.
I'd hate to be the guy in production that had to go fish that out.
You just ruined a GoPro right there.
Well, it's probably in like one of those cases that makes it, but still, yeah, it was some like production assistant. They're like, hey, get that throw up camera out.
Yeah.
And so that's disgusting.
I thought it was funny when they showed John A. weeping into her plate.
Her and Kayla both were crying.
Yeah. It was, yeah. And then Weston Bergman absolute machine. He's not human.
And then he just takes off running. And then after he just ate all that disgusting stuff, the camera's right beside him. He looks right at him and blows a kiss.
That's the miserable part, is running.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, absolutely.
I mean,
Boy,
it sits like a rock in your gut.
I bet they're trying to throw up at that point.
Kayla at one point even referenced having the meat fart, or having gas, basically.
She said the meat farts.
That's probably a line I made up.
Yeah, I don't think she said that.
I swear she had a line somewhere.
I didn't write it down what she said during that whole interaction.
But yeah, buddy, I bet you they got some real.
You gotta feel awful. After, for a while.
You know, when you got gas and you're jogging, the little squirt comes out every step you take. Just
of gas
Yeah.
or of
like fart while you jog.
But I wouldn't call
a little squirt.
a squirt.
I wouldn't call it squirt.
When you say squirt, it sounds like you're sharding yourself.
Yesterday, our nephew came in. We went to my grandmother's, and our littlest nephew ran in the room.
He's 5.
He's 5, and he's like, "I peed my pants. They were tickling me too much."
And he did. He walked up because he walked up to his mom, and he goes, "I have to tell you something."
Yeah.
And she was like, "What is it, baby?" And he goes, "My pants are wet because I peed on myself." And we were like, "What?" And he's like, "They were tickling me and I couldn't stop." He's like, "I peed on myself." And sure enough, he had a dark little spot just on his shorts.
He did a little squirt.
Good Lord.
Not a whole release. Wes is first and Johnny's first for the girls, and then Brad and Kayla are second. They just, like, Nehemiah and Nye are so far behind that they just cut away from them. They go to Wes at the puzzle where there's a surfboard, and the first puzzle is just like, are they called tanagrams? Is that what they're called? And
That's Enneagrams.
no.
You're a 6.
So
You are
an 8.
No, you're a 6.
I don't remember.
I think I'm an 8.
You're a 6. We took the test for Kendall and Tori because they wanted to know what your number was.
Did do it.
But I've changed over the years.
Zach is a 5, which is the
I'm
creative,
definitely
and you're a 6, which is close to the creative, but you're more
Emotional.
a little bit more emotional.
I would say none of those things are 100% or anything, but I will say for the most part when people are like, oh, this is kind of how 5s feel or think, I'm like, it's about 80 to 90% right. Like, it's pretty close.
You ever met any 9s?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know the differences other than
What's a 9, Han?
I don't know.
They're very pacifist. If there's any kind of conflict, they want to go away.
That sounds
That's
a little
just
like
it.
you, Han.
No, but I'm a 1. Which is
hers is not,
rules
no.
and regulations.
She doesn't like conflict, but she will be like, that's fine. It's my fault. She'll take the blame for stuff that.
Everything is black and white. I can't see gray areas.
Well, shout out to all the 9s out there.
Whoever you are.
And the 3 types of women.
Yeah, absolutely. Wes was the first one to finish his surfboard puzzle, and then he takes off running, and then they cut back to Naya and Nehemiah, and Nia's thinking about quitting.
Naya can't finish the food, and she asked Nehemiah. She's like, "Do you even think that we can catch up?" Like, you could tell she wanted him to say no so that she could quit.
So he said it's fine, I can quit.
Yeah, she wanted to quit the final,
and he was like, "Heck no, you never know what's going to happen. You stay positive."
And he told her, he was like, "You don't know how many checkpoints there are after this."
That's true. He's not wrong.
He's absolutely right.
You never know, and so
I think she just wanted to quit.
Yeah, for sure.
And she was looking for validation.
Johnny finishes her tanagram or whatever puzzle first, and then Brad comes in second, and then Kayla. Kayla's not even there. Then they go to another puzzle, which is a puzzle tower, which that type of thing, when you know it, you can see the yacht, and you know it's the last thing before getting the money. That is. I did kind of like that because it's not hard necessarily, but it's very high stress.
And so think
exactly
not shaking your hands when
after
you're trying to stack
all
these.
That gross stuff and you're running. The final had some good points to me, and then had some low points. But overall, I think it's just kind of a pretty decent one.
If they had not spent the night on the yacht, it'd be a perfect final.
I think if they would have made them do some tougher overnight thing, it would have been better. But
I'd put it in the below average tier.
Yes.
I currently,
because of sleeping on the yacht.
I think that deducts a lot of points.
Yeah.
That deducts a lot of points. Like a lot. I hate when they do stuff like this. It totally ruins it.
Did you hear how she raised her voice?
That it's all caps at that point.
A lot of my notes are in all caps.
So Wes finishes his puzzle tower thing first, and then he kicks it over, and then Jonna finishes her puzzle tower, and she kicks too. And then Kayla and Brad kind of are behind, and they both are in second. And at that point, Wes and Jonna both have a pretty good. I mean, Wes has got the biggest lead by far, and then Jonna's pretty far out ahead. And it's just at that point you're just paddling out to the yacht, and Wes, we all know, swimming background. He's built for that part. Like there couldn't be like a better home stretch for him. I mean, even though the food and stuff is probably sitting real heavy on you, but. He powers through. He pulls up on that boat. Fittingly enough, the last final he won is him and CT had to pull up on that boat at the last second. And he just goes, well. And, I mean, it's a good season for Wes.
It was
Great
a great
season for Wes.
Wes.
Let's get rid of boats and finals for a while.
I agree.
Yeah.
Enough of that.
I don't know when the last time they did one was. The last one I can think of is Invasions, where they just had him hold on to a pole for a while, and that's an awful final, though.
No, there was a boat with the season that CT won with D, and
There was. They made
Rogan.
Yeah. They made him swim out to a boat.
They had to swim out to a boat.
Let's get creative. Let's get them on a dirt bike or something.
Yeah.
That's tough because if
Let's have you go-kart to a dirt bike.
the only thing is they'd have to make them all automatic somehow because there's no way most of those people know how to use a clutch and do all that on a dirt bike. Because we saw that there was one daily in one of these seasons where they had to drive a stick shift car from like point A to point B, and you were with a partner, and I think it was free agents, and half the people didn't know how to drive a stick, and so they couldn't really do it. So Jonna wins. It's just it's almost unbelievable how good she's been at All Stars.
Back-to-back wins.
And none of it's luck. Like it is outright. It is outright dominance.
She just
performed.
She just performed in in all facets. And I mean,
John A, let's freaking go.
She's I saw it on Twitter and I agree with it. I think she's the face of All Stars.
She has to
Absolutely.
be.
I totally agree.
She's been on all 3 seasons, made all 3 finals, won 2 of them.
I think Johnny Bananas or CT is the face of the challenge. She's the face of All Stars, without question.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm with it.
I mean, and we talk about like all these people we want to have a break from. I think she needs to keep coming back.
But because she won this season,
I agree. I was gonna
that
say,
earned
if she
her a
didn't
ticket
win,
back.
Let's take a step back. She's won 2 in a row. She gets to come back as long as she keeps.
Made all 3 finals.
I think as long as she wins, she gets an invitation back to defend her title.
I mean, it's just it's unreal. Like I almost can't believe how good she is now.
I love it. I love it
because she was one again. We've said it before. She was undrafted in our first All Stars fantasy. Because that's how little any of us believed in her.
And even after last season, didn't even go until 5th on Hannah's team.
The 5th round. Not even 5th. Not the 5th pick, but the 5th round.
I couldn't believe I got her as my 5th pick.
Yeah, for just other sake, like Jake and I went with Veronica, and I went with Veronica, and Jake went with Tina for our 5th picks.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonna's clearly. I was hoping for a little bit more upside with mine as far as daily stuff, but it didn't happen. Then you just had everybody else just kind of hanging out on the beach and crying.
Kayla cried as she talked about how well Wes and John A.
I think it's a good season for Kayla, though. I think
it was a good season for Kayla.
I think it's a good season for Brad. I think good season for Nehemiah. Not a good season for Nia. I think she's the outlier in this final group. I think Kellyanne and Mark had better seasons than Nia did.
Agreed. Yeah, because Nehemiah and Nia finally finished the food portion
after it was over
and make it to the beach as Kayla and Brad are walking back.
Yeah,
and of course they're like, "Oh, is it over?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's over."
So you got to think in just real time how far behind they were, because Kayla and Brad were already back on the beach walking back. They were in the water paddling for at least 5+ minutes, probably, because that's a pretty good amount to get out there, and then they had to paddle back, get out, start walking down the beach, and then Nehemiah and Nia showed up. It wouldn't surprise me because they showed up at the exact same time. If production was just like, it's already over, we just need to film you guys on the beach together. Like, just get out there. Because we never saw them finish. Either one of them.
Right, and they were pretty far behind.
They showed the scales at one point once everyone else was gone, and both of them were a pound to a pound and a half behind.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
So they tell them it's over. Nehemiah starts punching the air very dramatically. I wasn't sure if it was like, man.
I thought it was weird.
I think it was kind of like...
I think he was trying to be silly.
Yeah, that's what I got. I thought he was trying to be goofy
with how it ended, but also his best friend just won.
Yeah. He can't be that mad.
No. And so...
Nia broke the fourth wall.
So did Kayla.
Yeah, Kayla did it first. They were talking about how, they want to come back. They're proud of how well they did this season. And then it cuts to Nia, and she looks straight into the camera when she says that she hopes she can come back to redeem herself from this season.
Awful throughout the, quote, regular season. Great in the first half of the final. And then that food thing took her out. Just took her out completely. She wanted to quit again. Took her back to when Jordyn got eliminated.
Yep.
She didn't have any motivation. We've talked about Nia's been a big disappointment from what I think all of us expected, especially Hannah.
It has hurt me emotionally and mentally, spiritually on a level.
Oh,
it's been an injury. I really took it to heart.
Yeah, I mean
I haven't slept well.
I was about to say, couldn't sleep.
Yeah, couldn't sleep.
I could go to sleep right now.
Couldn't eat.
And it's only fitting that she finishes last.
Agreed.
Yeah.
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 Especially for being so dominant.
Well, I guess not if you're going to count Mark and Kellyanne.
I'm for who was left, but yeah, I think again, I do think Mark and Kellyanne had better seasons than her, even though they got sent home in the middle of the final. Also, just a quick, thank you to Mark Long for pushing this so hard for this to happen. Because all 3 seasons of All Stars have been so much fun.
Watching through all 3 of these now, we said at the beginning of all this, any wins that come from this, do you consider it separate from the challenge?
I think it counts.
I do too. Because initially at the beginning of all this, we're thinking, it's older people. It's going to be goofy dailies again. The final's not going to be so
easy
hard.
stuff.
And some of it's been
brutal.
Just as most of it has been just as hard, if not harder.
And they've done stuff like in season 1 where it's like, oh hey, congratulations, you have to eat 2 ghost peppers and then run for a mile and a half, and that's just miserable.
Yeah.
And
we haven't seen anything that bad.
That final last season was bad.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah, and also there was some production screw ups, but it's
But that part where they had the bike a total of, almost 30 miles.
Yeah.
And carrying these puzzle
crazy.
pieces back and forth, it's like, oh my lord.
That's when Ion.
That's just one aspect of it.
Ion and Tech, we're done.
Yeah.
I think going into All Stars 1, we were like, this isn't probably going to be the best competition, so these probably won't count. I think a win in All Stars so far counts as on the. So that means Jonnay is.
She's got 2 rings.
She's rivaling some pretty big names in the challenge.
Yeah.
Look at her now.
It's crazy. Never would have expected it.
It's like she got a second wind after having babies.
I think that's exactly what it was.
I think it's deeper than that. I think she almost just kind of found herself.
Probably because
she seems like she's in a really good
place. We talked about it before. She always seemed pretty frail and frantic, and let other people manipulate her emotions, and would be gaslit about stuff. And I think now she's I got a family, I got kids. I know who I am. I know what I need to do, and I just do it.
We even saw earlier in this season where people like Beth are trying to manipulate her emotionally and mess with her and gaslight her, and she's not putting up with it.
I honestly forgot that Beth tried to do that this season. Beth sucks so much, just in general.
They had a flashback to Beth.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that.
For the elimination. Where she's like, you know what? I'm just going to be done. And I hate it so much.
Yeah.
And so, again, shout out to Jonnay. Great season. Shout out to Wes. Great season.
Wes said he's going to buy a Lamborghini.
Yeah, which goes completely against saving for a kid. I doubt
That's going to be his whole winnings right there.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to actually do that. But who knows? Maybe he will. So superlatives for this episode, or do you have anybody have any final wrap-ups for this season?
Not for the season.
Oh, man, I was hoping Hannah'd go all in on a no with me like last week.
No. I was just going to say earlier in this episode, don't know if you caught it, Nehemiah mentioned, he's like, I've had to fight for everything. I even had to fight for the simple things.
No, I didn't notice that. I don't remember that quote at all.
It was earlier in the episode, and I was like, dang, man.
That really struck a chord with you. Well, all right.
Wow, profound. So she did.
I'm so tired. I just want this podcast to be over.
Let's keep going.
So
I got a lot to talk to y'all about.
Not tonight. I'm going to sleep. Superlatives. Who smashed some heads?
John A.
I think it's got to be a universal John A.
I'll give it for even though Wes, winning on his own. We love Wes. I do think it's John A. Just because, even in this final, I still in the back of my mind, just from all those years, I'm like, she's probably not going to win. Just statistically,
you think it's going to be Kayla?
She's only got. Honestly, yeah, I would have thought Kayla would have had a better shot at it. But again, she just proved me wrong. Good for her.
Round of applause for John
well,
A.
If John A wasn't there, Kayla would have won.
Yeah, for sure.
But John A was there.
John A was there.
But I think if Kellyanne was in place of John A in that the final three, I think Kayla wins. For who got their head smashed in this one?
Brad, Kayla, Nia, and Nehemiah by the food. They were weeping.
Yeah, but I mean, Kayla and Brad both finished, and Nia
and Nehemiah didn't.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Because Brad and Kayla were they were within arm's reach basically. They were in the water the same time as the other two were for the final part.
We'll give it to Kayla. At one point, she referenced having the meat farts, like I said.
I don't remember her saying anything about meat farts.
She did reference having really bad gas.
Okay.
Call them sulfur bombs.
I'm gonna
That's
pick.
a good one.
You know what? Just for the sake of John A winning and how much she sucks, Beth got her head smashed because she won. Beth didn't win, but John A won. And also, I hope I never see Beth back on this show again.
Or you're not watching.
I'll have to watch still.
I'll quit watching.
So, we were doing the final video game pick of the season.
I said since it's the final and this is the last one, we got to do 2.
That's fine. We're going to do 2. I don't know what my second one is off the top of my head, but Henny, you can go first.
Okay, my games are Gran Turismo 2. Jake's face when I said it, he just shook his head.
You know what I found? My mom gave me a box of stuff from when I was, I don't know where this box came from, and I opened it up. The first thing I see in the box is a Halo 2 strategy guide that was the big book. And then underneath that was a demo disc of PlayStation, and I looked up what games were on it. Spyro the Dragon
Spyro's on there.
Spider-Man 1. Those were on that disc. So
Golly.
Spyro's on there. I got so excited. My other game is one I tore up from the floor up. Barbie Race and Ride, 1999.
There's no way that game was good.
It's great. You would have different horses, and you got to wash them and brush their hair and feed them sugar cubes and then take them for rides in the meadow and in the forest, in the snow, and on the beach. And if you rode the horse in the snow, you would see are they jackalopes?
Was this a PC game?
I had it on PlayStation 1.
Riding Club? Is that what? No, Race and Ride.
Race and Ride. Barbie Race and Ride, 1999, PlayStation 1.
I don't even think that this is on Metacritic, which I've never seen before. I'm going to search on here.
What are you going to do?
I just wanted to see if it was if it was scored on here at all. Yeah, they're like this. According to Metacritic, this game doesn't exist.
Google it, because like
I'm sure Ross has it in the UK.
I hope that Ross has it. I will scream if he does.
Okay,
it's a good game.
Jake, you got yours? You got two?
I do. I'm gonna give. I had a hard time coming up with the second one, so I'll give the one I settled on because it is a top-notch game. It's on a lot of different consoles. NBA Street Volume 2.
Those were fun. Yeah.
The second one in particular, man, that's a cool freaking game.
Yeah, they were fun. I never owned them, but like I played them a handful of times.
Pick up and play. You can do some freaking cool stuff in that game. The rosters are iconic.
See, I don't remember any of that.
Man. Super fun game, but I actually want you to pull up this one on YouTube because I think you got this one just dropped in my brain out of nowhere, and I just remembered how I don't know that there's ever been another game made in this sports realm that is anywhere close to this good. It's Virtua Tennis on Sega Dreamcast.
Oh,
the first one.
The first one?
Yeah. It is so freaking cool. I'm thinking back to this game, and it's realistic. Like, it's set up.
Yeah.
So, like, just pull up that first one up there. That's it.
Yeah, I kind of remember. It's a Little Caesars.
I can't remember the roster. Like, it didn't have a lot of, like, big-name people.
Even current tennis games have a hard time getting the likeness of big-name players.
Yeah. But this... Y'all just, you'd appreciate... I can't believe you didn't play this. Yeah, just watch the intros and stuff.
Her dad never bought it, so...
Yeah.
Oh, and that music's sick, too. Jim Q.
Yeah, Courier, Tommy Haas, Carlos Moya. It's like one per country, it looked like.
Yeah. But, like, watch this gameplay, Han. I mean, this is like... This was legit.
You can scoot on over to the
For 1998
alley?
or something, it looks pretty good, honestly.
And, I mean, you could either do a power serve, you could do a, slice serve. But, I mean, it's legit.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like pretty good, especially for the time. Like,
look at that, Han.
The sounds are a little weird. It's like, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, there's a new tennis game that just came out on Game Pass, and Nick Kyrgios is the face of it.
Which is great.
They couldn't get... It doesn't really look like him, but they couldn't get Nadal and all
I meant to message you about Nadal getting hurt.
Yeah,
I know.
So yeah. Nick Kyrgios, who he's supposed to face in semifinals, is in the finals of Wimbledon, and
I'm excited about that. I hate that Nadal had to withdraw because this pulls him out of the possibility of winning a calendar year for this year.
That'd have been a sick match too, Han.
I know. Yeah, it would have been fun.
Djokovic versus Kyrgios. Like, Djokovic is maybe the best player of all time, but Kyrgios has beat him the two other times they've played. And so, like, he's never lost. He's never even lost a set to him. He
love
won
it.
In straight sets every other time they played.
I love
so
it.
It'll be interesting.
I love it.
For me, I'm going to go with... For my first one, I'll pick what I almost picked last week, I think, which was Horizon Zero Dawn. I haven't played Horizon Forbidden West yet, but Horizon Zero Dawn is just like post-apocalyptic, so it's like primitive, but you're like way in the future, and there's like robot animals and stuff like that. But it's just great. As far as like a first game for a new series, it was a lot of fun, and I really liked it. For my second one, I'm going to give another PlayStation 4 exclusive. It's God of War. It's really good. Like, and God of War Ragnarok's coming out this September, something like that. And that game is really good. It's just narrative, like gameplay where you're just doing a story, and I like those type of single player narrative games. And I didn't play it for a long time, and then I bought it like a year or so ago, year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
It doesn't feel like it was that long.
It was during COVID. I bought it for $10, and I was like, "This is great," and it was free on PlayStation like last month. So I'm gonna pick that for my final one because it was really good. So we need to get into fantasy stuff.
Yeah,
give us your point.
This is the last time.
It is.
That's the last time.
I'm so tired.
So, one final shout out to the sponsor. Got that nose running.
Mucinex.
Okay, well, let's get right into it. We're going to start off giving Wes and John A 10 points each for having the lead going into episode 2 or the second half of the final here. Let's see. We're going to give Brad -10 for lying down.
Yeah,
by the way,
weird.
before we get into the rest of the points, even though Mark and Kellyanne both got purged, I think with Wes winning, there's no way that I lose.
You think so?
Unless you just went weird with the scoring.
That's what you think.
We'll find out. Let's see. I think Wes made a mistake of putting himself in the front of the kayak. I'm going to give him -10 for that. We're going to give Mark and Kellyanne 25 points. They got first in this. We're going to give Nehemiah and Kayla 15 each for getting second. We'll give Brad and John A 5 each for getting third.
I accidentally did an apostrophe or something.
That's a 1.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 15 here. And then what?
Brad and John A get
Brad,
5
John
each.
A, 5.
Wes and Nia get -10.
Ooh.
Typical Nia. Already off to a negative start. They have these. They have the face-offs. Brad wins against Wes. 25 for Brad. -15 to Wes. Kellyanne looks like a small child. -5. Nia defeats Kellyanne. 25 to Nia.
Okay.
-15 to Kellyanne. We got Claw Machine Kayla. 5 points.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. Mark defeats Nehemiah. 25 to Mark. -15 to Nehemiah.
25 to Mark.
Yeah.
-15.
And then John A defeats Kayla. 25 to John A. -15 to Kayla. An additional 10 points to John A for mom strength. 10 points to John A for the quote, "Mama's eye is on the prize."
See, I didn't like that. I don't know why you like it, because I know for a fact that you don't like when people we know refer to themselves like that just all the time, where they're like, "Oh, mommy's tired from today."
It's different because she is a mom.
She's earned it. She's earned this.
Yeah. And
she's earned this one.
TJ and Kayla both talked about her mom strength on TV.
I agree with that.
Let's see. I've got down here 15 points for a Mark and Nia. Oh, I know what it was in the confessional. They combined Mark and Nia.
Yes.
15 points.
What? Did
Yeah.
I miss something?
You did.
They like superimposed them together?
Yes.
They said they were the same person.
I completely missed that.
Let's see. 15 points to John A. She's got some big babies. We're going to give Mark and Nia 25. They finished first in the... this was the sandbag leg.
Yeah.
15 to Wes and Kayla for finishing second. 5 to Brad and John A. They finished third. And -10 to Nehemiah and Kellyanne for finishing last. We're going to give 10 points to everyone.
I hate these so much.
Because according to Wes, they're all bangable, but they wouldn't brag about it.
I did like that quote, but this scoring just does nothing for the overall game. It just makes me type a lot.
We got to keep you awake.
It's just making me more tired. I don't think I've definitively know I've never been this tired when we've recorded. My eyes are half closed the majority of this.
Yeah, well, 10 points to Mark because he feels Titanic-y right now.
All right.
We're going to give 20 points to Wes and Nehemiah for recreating the iconic Titanic front of the boat moment. Let's see. Nehemiah liked the cruise. 5 points. Let's see. We're going to give 100 points. You know what? Let's just go. Yeah, let's go 100. We're going to give 100 to Wes, Nehemiah, John A, and Nia for securing their spots for day 2.
Okay.
Wes, Nehemiah,
John A, and Nia.
My only 2 players.
Yeah.
We're going to give an additional 15 to John A for having the most points out of everyone.
Well, he said he said that, but they did the girls first, and then when he said Wes's score, I believe
Wes had less points than
Wes
her.
did have less
Okay,
He
points.
did.
I was thinking
he
it was
only
the same.
had like 21 or 22 points.
Okay.
Kayla never looked at the maps. -5.
Okay.
Brad thinks California's a country. -10.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kayla wins 75 points. She also beat Karma 20 points.
Yeah, she did.
-50 to Kellyanne because she loses. She's eliminated. 75 to Brad. He wins. -50 to Mark. He loses too. Kisses from Wes, 15 points.
To Wes or
Yeah.
From Wes.
Kisses from Wes,
Yeah.
15 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Brad's worst nightmare. -15. Nehemiah doesn't even eat meat. -10. Let's go 15 points to Naya. Her body is a temple. That was her quote.
yeah,
It was
body's
her
done,
quote.
yeah.
I remember she said that.
Brad is throwing up blood. -15. That's never good.
It worried me that he said he didn't even know if it was his blood.
Yeah. I forget who said it, but according to whoever said it, Wes looks like he has baby puke all over him. -10.
I think it was Kayla.
I think it was Kayla.
Well, 15 points because Wes takes his soul out and he sets it aside.
Yeah.
Naya wanted to quit. -25. But we got encouraging Nehemiah down here on the end. 15 points. An additional 15 because he, for the quote, never quit. You're a warrior.
What an inspirational quote.
You should get that framed in your house.
He's miserable.
I know. He hates this.
10 points to Wes and John A. They roundhouse kicked their puzzles. It looked good.
Thanks.
All right, well, here we go. 250 to Wes and 250 to John A. for winning. It's fitting because $250K, so.
Oh,
There we go.
okay.
We're going to give 50 to Brad and Kayla for finishing second.
Even though they didn't technically place, they clearly were.
They clearly
Yes.
were second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
-25 to Nehemiah and Naya for not just finishing last.
We don't even know if they finished.
I
That's the
genuinely
thing.
think they did not finish because
Production just sent
they
them
were
on.
like, it's over, guys. You can stop torturing
Yeah.
yourselves. Like,
Yeah.
just get out here.
I didn't like the Nehemiah tantrum at the end. -10. That is weird. I'm going to give 15 points to John A. for the quote, "I'm not just a skater." I personally think should be the episode title. Not just a skater.
Okay.
10 points to Wes. He's going to buy a Lamborghini.
You didn't tell me how many points to give John.
Oh,
You
15.
You just said you liked the quote.
15. And then 10 points to Wes because he's buying a Lamborghini. And then I picked up 3 more fantasy points from watching it with you guys at the end when I got here.
We were the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 points to Brad for the quote, excelente. That's Spanish for excellent. 15 points.
You struggled with that.
Yeah, it's excelente.
10 points to John A. because per Wes, she is smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said that.
I'm going to give Wes -10 because that was bad shadow boxing for him by him.
Ooh.
I don't even remember him doing that.
It was the drone shot.
At the end, I just saw John A. jumping around.
Yeah. But that, ladies and gentlemen, are your fantasy points for the week. Let's see how well Zach does with math when he is
It's bad.
borderline
Not here.
on the verge of death. So, got that Mucinex. Got that nose running.
Nose running.
Mucinex. We'll be right back. And we're back. Again, final shout out to our sponsor, Forever. I
Yeah.
think. Got that nose running.
Mucinex.
All right, Zach, what happened? How did this thing wrap up?
Here we go.
So I'll read everyone's scores. Naya ended up with 130.
Wow. Okay.
Can't
Probably
believe
the biggest
it.
day for her.
Can't
so
believe
far.
it.
Yeah, because I guess you got 100 for making the top 2. So that saved her because she would have been really bad otherwise. John A ended up with 490.
Let's go.
Wes ended up with 400. Brad ended up with Mark ended up with 60. Brad ended up with 130. Kellyanne ended up with -45. The only one in the negative this week.
Wow. Okay.
Kayla ended up with 170. Nehemiah with 110. So for the week, Hannah had
Who am I?
Hannah and Kayla. Hannah had 620.
Okay.
I had 545, and Jake only had 280 for the week.
Ooh, did I surpass you?
Because she had a winner, and I had a winner. So the final scores of this season.
Your only goal was to beat me.
In third place, with a score of 1350, is Jake.
Wow!
Yes!
No!
Oh!
No!
Yes!
No! So Jake's final score was 1350 because going into this week you had 1070. Hannah only had 840, but she scored 620 points this week. So she is now in second place with 1460.
Oh, beat me considerably.
She beat you by 110 points. But again, Naya got her 130 because he gave her 100 points for being second, and after day one, and then Janae got 490, so that carried her all the way. And then I am very clearly the winner with 2610.
Don't even care what your score is.
I was a full 1,200 points ahead of the closest one to you.
Well, here's the thing.
Way to go out on a loss.
No. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. What I did is
he's got to justify it now.
I knew this was it
Okay.
for me. So
You want to go out with the pity vote?
no, I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure Hannah didn't finish last.
Okay.
So I made sure to.
Oh, so you planned this?
You
This was
predestined
all-
John A. to land there.
This was all part of the plan.
You're a big Calvinist, though, right? You didn't get that joke.
Yeah.
It was all part
He
of the
didn't.
plan. I'm
He
happy.
didn't get it.
I was happy to give up second place to Han. So I'll do congrats. Second place.
After having an awful draft. John A. is the saving grace of that team. Because otherwise you'd have been screwed. So, yeah, just for reference sake, John A. got 490. She got a third of her team's whole points just in this episode. The team for the season. She got it all in this episode. Fun season. I enjoy these All-Star seasons more than... Like, they're more fun than they should be, honestly.
They're more fun than the normal show.
Agreed. We'll see how the challenge CBS is. I have been avoiding any sort of reading up on it. I didn't watch the first 3 minutes that they dropped.
I didn't even know they dropped it.
They dropped the first 3 minutes. That episode 1's out.
Oh, the Challenge USA. I thought you meant
Challenge
the...
USA. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not an All-Star season. The Challenge USA, which, again, we'll see how that goes. Because it's basically just 20-something rookies. And so we'll see how that is. That's on Paramount Plus if you haven't watched that. So you don't have to have CBS if you do have Paramount Plus because we currently don't have CBS. But as always, patreon.com/smashingheads podcast. We'll be recording sometime this next week the final Redemption House and all that stuff. And until next time, this is the final sign-off.
Final sign-off.
You gonna cry?
I'll probably cry the next one. I think we're all going to cry.
I just want to go to sleep.
But
he may be crying right now.
there is one more coming, but for recaps, this is it for me. It's been a lot of fun. Forever and always.
That's not.
Have a good night, everyone.